This is Six Music.
BBC Radio 6 Music documentaries, telling the stories in music that matter.
It's what we do.
It's the beauty of Six Music.
Find out more at the 6 Music website. Now, 6 Music documentaries present Bowie's Heroes with Matt Everett.
I've always loved David Bowie, from the cheesy pop and folk he made before he was famous to Ziggy, Young Americans, the Berlin trilogy, the 80s Blonde Bouffon, Labyrinth, Heathen, everything. For me, he's the most inventive artist in rock history. And what makes him so fascinating is that his influences extend far beyond any other rock star. He's the product of 1,000 different obsessions, and you can hear them all in his songs. Over the next 2 nights, we'll look at the people who've inspired Bowie, as well as hearing from some of the famous musicians whose lives he's changed. I'm Matt Everett, and this is Bowie's Heroes.
Du könntest schwimmen wie Delfine. Delfine ist schön.
Born as David Jones in the years directly after World War II, the young Bowie's first musical obsession was jazz. Introduced to trad jazz by his brother, he learnt to play saxophone aged 12 and was taught by this man, Ronnie Ross. And there's always been sax on Bowie records, even to this day. It's something he's never, ever felt the need to shake off. But it was rock and roll that provided Bowie with his first real hero.
Anything on rock and roll seemed to be so little of it that when it did appear on television, it seemed like the most, like the holy grail, especially if it was from America. They'd show a clip from a movie. I remember getting so excited when they showed Little Richard from, I think the film was called Disc Jockey Jamboree. And it was just amazing to actually see him moving. He'd just been a record to me before, you know.
Bowie loved Fats Domino, Chuck Berry and especially Little Richard. Elvis represented raw danger, but Richard was more theatrical, a showman. On stage there was this feeling of a man acting a persona, something that obviously made an impression on David. And on this track, Lisa Jane by Davy Jones and the King Bees, Bowie's first ever single from 1964, you can hear his love of early rock and roll.
Well, I got a girl that's good to me. Whoa, little Liza. When I she ain't more than 5'3". Whoa, little Liza. Well, this little gal is good to me. Whoa, little Liza. Yeah, this little girl did a help on me. A little Liza Jane, a little Liza Jane, little Liza Jane.
By 1965, Bowie's heroes were guitar bands, the Kinks, the Yardbirds, and especially The Who. However, Bowie's mod phase wasn't to last long.
Just look through your window. Look who sits outside. Little me is waiting, standing through the night. When you walk out through your door, I'll wave my flag and shout, ah, beautiful baby, my burning desire started on Sunday. Give me your heart and I'll love you till Tuesday.
That is Love Me Till Tuesday, a Bowie track from 1967 from what fans call his Anthony Newley phase. Anthony Newley was a talented and successful actor, composer, singer and songwriter in the 50s and 60s with a theatrical Cockney chappy singing style which Bowie totally adopted. Newley also starred in a surreal cult sitcom called Gurney Slade, which appealed to Bowie's surreal sense of humour. Here's a clip.
A half-hour television show. Half an hour to put the world right. And I can do without that lot back there as well. How would you like your egg done, dear? The golden years of British entertainment. So much for Shakespeare and Sophocles. I prithee, husband, I will not trouble thee, my love, beyond thine intelligence, to what degree of hardness thou requirest in thine egg. Act 4, Scene 2, Omelette the Prince.
It was the television series that made me want to sing like him, not the records. It was very odd. In fact, The Strange World of Gurney Slade was the reason that I liked Tony Newley. It wasn't the other stuff, it wasn't the singles and all that. And that series really drew me to what he was trying to do, because I think he was a very talented guy.
I've been thinking about you, beep-bum, beep-bum, beep-bum.
And you can hear so much of where Bowie's voice styling came from at this time. This Newley track could be Bowie.
I'd like to fly away with you, beep-bum, beep-bum. Sweet talking all the way with you, beep-bum, beep-bum, beep-bum.
Not all Bowie's early heroes were musical. In 1967, he started studying and performing with the mime artist Lindsay Kemp. Lindsay taught Bowie about physical poise and stagecraft. Bowie became, and still is, hugely aware of expressing himself physically during performances. Lindsay Kemp.
One day I popped into my agent's office. The typist secretaries very excitedly said, "Oh God, tell him about David Bowie." So I took home to my flat in Soho the album David Bowie. Loved it. Loved all the songs. Loved the musical quality of many of the songs. Loved its naivety. Loved the voice, which reminded me of two of my heroes. One being Jacques Brel and the other being Anthony Newley, you know. Of course, that night I fell in love, didn't I?
When I live my dream, I'll take you with me, riding on a golden horse. We'll live within my castle, with people there to serve you, happy at the sound of your voice.
A lot of Bowie songs in the late 60s have a naive quality, like this one, When I Live My Dream. But Bowie's next hero was altogether more otherworldly, Syd Barrett.
Trip to Ivanhoe, walk down to and fro. You have no word. Trip to a dream dragon. Hide your wings in a ghost tower. Sails cackling at every blade we break.
That's Clowns and Jugglers by the late Syd Barrett. Syd remains one of Bowie's most enduring heroes.
This kind of almost whimsical presence on stage. And the first rock performer that I saw wearing makeup. And I thought that was extraordinary. Like the 50s rock people, and even Presley used to wear like lots of mascara and eyeshadow and stuff like that. Dyed his hair and things. In England, there was a sense of trying to become other, develop an otherness. But there was a sense of, you know, the very esoteric quality. And we in the medical profession call it pretentiousness.
Optimistic shining feet. The mad cat laughed at the man on the border. Hey ho, hop the tall bird, the wind say blue and the leaves.
So if you want to trace the roots of glam rock, this is probably where it started. And you can also hear Syd's cosmic influence on Bowie's first hit, Space Oddity.
All that break your heart in pieces. Stay.
Both Mark Bolan and David Bowie made an impact on a young Sinead O'Connor.
I remember seeing David Bowie on Mark Bolan's TV show the first time David Bowie was on telly in England. I remember distinctly being a very small child seeing it. David Bowie